On the day of the company's celebration party, Liam thanked everyone in front of the entire company. He specifically thanked Isabella, his secretary who had only been with the company for 3 months, but he didn't once mention Amelia, the true financial powerhouse behind the scenes. Right then, I turned and walked away. With a single phone call, I withdrew $1 billion in investment. It was only when Liam knelt before me that he realized his dowdy wife, whom he had always looked down upon, was actually the largest shareholder of his company. At the company's celebration party, Liam proudly delivered his acceptance speech, radiating confidence, holding the award for Best CEO. To achieve what we have today, I must thank all the colleagues for their hard work, especially my most capable assistant. He raised the trophy, his gaze sweeping directly past me in the audience and landing on Isabella, the secretary in the front row. Isabella, thank you for your hard work and dedication these past 3 months. Without you, the company would not have reached its brilliance today. A warm round of applause erupted from the audience, and all eyes focused on the 23-year-old, sweet-faced secretary. Meanwhile, Amelia, the true boss who had silently invested $1 billion and held 60% of the shares, was completely ignored, as if I were invisible. Isabella shyly stood up, her cheeks flushed, gazing at Liam on stage with deep affection in her eyes. In that moment, I felt utterly defeated. 3 years ago, Liam was an entry-level staff member with nothing to his name, constantly meeting setbacks trying to start his business. It was Amelia who leveraged my family connections and secured a $20 million loan from the bank under his name, using my status as his wife as collateral. It was Amelia who secretly invested my entire $1 billion inheritance into his company, yet let him believe that angel investors saw potential in his project. 2. Protect his ego. I was content to be a simple homemaker, buying groceries and cooking every day, pretending to be a clueless, dowdy wife in front of outsiders. But now, he stood in front of the entire company, crediting all his success to a secretary who had only been with the company for 3 months. I quietly pulled out my phone and sent a text to my private attorney, initiate the equity recovery process immediately. A shareholder meeting will be held tomorrow at 9 a.m. Then I sent a message to the financial director, freeze all external investments and halt all incoming funds. Having done all this, I stood up and left the venue under the astonished gaze of everyone present. From behind, I heard Liam's voice, "Everyone, my wife might be feeling unwell. Please excuse us for a moment." He chased after me, a hint of impatience on his face. "Amelia, what's gotten into you again? In such an important setting, can't you at least save me some face?" I stopped, turning to look at the man I had spent 5 years with. "Liam, let's get a divorce." He froze for a moment, then scoffed, "Divorce? Just because I didn't thank you on stage? Amelia, can you stop being so unreasonable? I'm the company's CEO now. In front of so many employees, I can't exactly say I thank my wife for cooking and doing laundry every day, can I? It would just make me a laughingstock, wouldn't it?" Hearing this, I felt deeply disappointed. So, in his heart, I was nothing but a useless woman who cooked and did laundry. He would never know that 60% of the shares of the company he was so proud of were registered under my name. Fine. If you think I'm just useless, then there's nothing more to discuss. I turned to leave, and Liam yelled behind me, "Amelia, don't be ungrateful. Without me, you're nothing." Back home, I immediately contacted Sterling Legal Department. "Ms. Amelia, we have received your instructions and will execute them promptly at 9 a.m. tomorrow, a professional and steady voice replied on the phone, extinguishing the last trace of hesitation in my heart. Hanging up, I began to pack my luggage. 5 years of marriage, 5 years of enduring sacrifices, 5 years of silent devotion, it was time for it to end. Just then, Liam pushed the door open, followed by Isabella, a triumphant look on her face. A smirk of victory played on her lips, as if she couldn't wait to see me humiliated. "Amelia, I don't care what mood you're in tonight, you must show up at the company tomorrow and apologize to Isabella." Liam pointed at me, his tone forceful. "Your dramatic exit just now, how embarrassing was that for Isabella? She's contributed so much to the company. Your jealousy of her youth and beauty is your own problem, but don't let it disrupt company unity." At this, Isabella deliberately put on a show of distress beside him, her eyes slightly red, her voice faint. "Amelia, please don't misunderstand. Liam and I truly have only a professional relationship. Liam is so good to you, you should be grateful. Someone like me, with no background or family connections, has to rely solely on hard work." Every word she uttered hinted that I was a useless woman who only had a good life because of Liam. I scoffed. Isabella is right, one certainly should rely on their own efforts. Starting tomorrow, you two can experience what it truly feels like to rely on your own efforts. Liam frowned. What do you mean? You'll know tomorrow. I didn't waste any more breath on them. As I prepared to leave, pulling my suitcase, Liam grabbed me, his grip strong, his voice urgent. Where do you think you're going? This is our home. It's your home, not mine. I shook his hand off. But after tomorrow, it won't be, because this house is my premarital property, and I'm having my lawyer reclaim it tomorrow. What premarital property? I clearly bought this house. Liam's eyes widened. I pulled out the property deed and threw it in front of him. See for yourself whose name is on the deed. Liam picked up the property deed, and his face instantly turned ashen. My name was clearly written on it, and the purchase date was 5 years ago, right when we got married. How is this possible? Back then, his voice held a tremor. You clearly what? Liam, think about it. Where did you get the money to buy a house back then? I coldly interrupted him, my tone tinged with mockery. He suddenly remembered that he indeed had no money at the time. I had told him that my family gave me a dowry and that I paid the down payment for him, but he had always assumed that money was just pocket change from my parents, never imagining it to be such a large sum. Amelia, what else have you been hiding from me? He looked at me in horror, his eyes filled with unease and doubt, as if seeing me for the first time. Watching his terrified expression, a surge of satisfaction welled within me. I told you, you'll know tomorrow. With that, I left the home I had lived in for 5 years, without looking back. From behind, I heard Isabella's voice. Liam, she's bluffing, isn't she? What leverage could a homemaker possibly have? Liam didn't answer, but I knew that he was already starting to feel uneasy, because in those 5 years, he had never truly understood me. The next morning at 9 o'clock, in the Sterling boardroom, Liam and Isabella rushed in, Liam's face still bearing the fatigue of a sleepless night. The moment he entered, he saw me seated at the head of the conference table, flanked by Sterling chief lawyer and financial director, the atmosphere solemn and grave. What's this nonsense, Amelia? Why is there a shareholder meeting? Aren't the only shareholders in our company just a few investors? His tone was urgent and accusatory. Clearly, he hadn't grasped the situation yet. I ignored his questioning, simply raised a hand, gesturing for him to take a seat. Mr. Liam, please sit. The shareholder meeting will begin shortly. After the law wire announced the start of the meeting, the financial director began to read the equity structure. According to the commercial registration information, Ascent has a total share capital of 10 million shares, distributed as follows. Ms. Amelia holds 6 million shares, accounting for 60%. The Angel Investment Fund holds 2 million shares, accounting for 20%, and Mr. Liam holds 2 million shares, accounting for 20%. Liam shot to his feet, his face turning livid, his eyes wide. This is impossible. I'm the CEO, how can I only have 20% of the shares? Then he pointed at me, his voice filled with anger and disdain. And, she's just a homemaker, where would she get the money to invest? The lawyer calmly stated, Mr. Liam, you may review these investment agreements and bank transfer records. A stack of documents was placed before Liam, each page irrefutable evidence. The $20 million in startup capital 3 years ago came from Amelia's personal account. The $50 million in series of funding 2 years ago came from a subsidiary of Sterling. The $30 million in Series B funding 1 year ago also came from Sterling. All the funds had been injected by me through various means. And the angel investor he had always thanked was a fund I established under the name of Sterling. Liam flipped through the documents, his hands trembling. These are all real? Of course, they're real. I stood up. Mr. Liam, as the majority shareholder, I am formally notifying you now that your position as CEO of Ascent is terminated. What? You can't do this. This is my company. Liam's eyes were filled with resentment and fury, attempting a final struggle. No, this is my company. I looked at him coldly. It always has been. Isabella's face turned ashen beside him. How is this possible? Amelia, aren't you just a homemaker? How do you have so much money? I turned to her. Isabella, are you familiar with Sterling? Of course, I know it. It's the largest corporate group in our city, with assets exceeding $10 billion. She stopped mid-sentence, her eyes wide with disbelief. That's right, Sterling is my family's business. And I am the sole daughter of the Sterling chairman. The conference room fell into a dead silence. Liam looked at me as if struck by lightning. You're the heiress of Sterling? Then why did you marry me? Why did you pretend to be an ordinary person? I gave a bitter laugh, because I wanted to find someone who genuinely loved me, not someone who loved my family's wealth. Unfortunately, I was mistaken. Liam suddenly realized something. Then for these 3 years, why did you help me? Why did you invest in me? Because I loved you, and I wanted to see you succeed. My voice betrayed no emotional fluctuation. But now I don't love you anymore. My words pierced him like a knife. Amelia, you can't do this to me. We're husband and wife. We have a history together. In desperation, Liam tried to grab my hand, attempting to use our marital bond to salvage the situation. But he was swiftly intercepted by my bodyguard beside me. Mr. Liam, please calm down, the lawyer stated. According to the company bylaws, the majority shareholder has the right to dismiss management. This is entirely legal. I ignored Liam's struggles and continued to announce that Ascent would enter a restructuring phase, and the retention of all employees would be re-evaluated. I looked at Isabella. Specifically, employees who gained entry through connections will be prioritized for removal. Isabella's face instantly turned ashen. Amelia, I didn't get in through connections. I was hired through a legitimate application process. Oh, really? I produced a document. These are your onboarding materials. Falsified academic credentials, fabricated work experience, and even forged recommendation letters. Ms. Isabella, do you consider that a legitimate application process? Isabella trembled all over, unable to utter another word. Apparently, for these 3 months, she thought she had hidden her tracks well, unaware that I had already had her background investigated. A country girl who hadn't even finished high school had successfully manipulated Liam into doing her bidding with her looks and a few schemes. Also, do you think I don't know about your little affairs outside? Saying this, I pulled out another stack of photos, all intimate pictures of Liam and Isabella in hotels and restaurants. Dining at upscale restaurants, staying at 5-star hotels, purchasing designer bags, all these expenses were charged to the company account. With every word I spoke, Liam's face grew paler, and Isabella trembled with fright. Liam, you used company funds to keep a mistress. That's embezzlement, which is a jailable offense. Liam was completely stunned seeing these photos. When did you take these? I've had a private investigator following you two for about a month now, I said nonchalantly. After all, as the majority shareholder, I have the right to supervise the actions of management. I organized all the evidence and pushed it towards him. I have already submitted these materials to the district's office. I believe there will be results soon. Amelia, you're crazy. I'm your husband. Liam yelled in desperation. Ex-husband, I corrected him. The divorce papers were filed with the court yesterday. Considering you may now face criminal charges, I have applied for an asset preservation order, and all assets under your name will be frozen. Liam completely broke down, falling to his knees and clutching my leg. Amelia, I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong. I shouldn't have betrayed you, shouldn't have ignored your contributions. Please, forgive me just this once. As long as you forgive me, I'll break all ties with Isabella immediately. I swear I'll only love you from now on. Looking at the man who had once been so arrogant, now on his knees, begging and clinging to my leg, I felt no trace of satisfaction, only deep sorrow. I pulled my leg away from his grasp, looking down at him, my voice cold and resolute. Liam, if time could turn back, I would rather have never met you. After the meeting, I returned alone to Sterling's CEO's office. This was a place I had known since childhood. My father often brought me here when he was alive. Ms. Amelia, you're back. Leo, the secretary, knocked and entered. A few reporters want to interview you about the acquisition of Ascent. No interviews. Also, have the PR department issue a statement, simply saying this is a normal commercial acquisition. Furthermore, notify Human that all Ascent employees, excluding management, will have the option to remain with the new company and continue working. Although I was utterly disappointed with Liam, the ordinary employees were innocent. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Ms. Amelia, this is David, the financial manager of Ascent. I have some information I'd like to report to you. Go ahead, I prompted him. Well, Mr. Liam has privately misappropriated company funds exceeding $5 million over the past 3 months. David's words made my heart sink. Besides buying luxury items for Isabella, he also invested in an influencer marketing firm, which has now gone bankrupt. I frowned. Can this money be recovered now? It's difficult. The boss of that live streaming company has fled, and while Isabella still has the items, she's claiming they were gifts from Mr. Liam. David's voice held a note of helplessness. I understand. I tried to remain calm. Send the detailed financial report to my email. I'll have my lawyer handle it. After hanging up, I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh. Liam not only cheated but also misappropriated company funds, and now even that money couldn't be recovered. This was the man I had loved for 5 years. In the afternoon, my lawyer called. Ms. Amelia, Th. There's a situation I need to report to you. Mr. Liam just came to the law firm to see me. He wants to negotiate with you. He said he's willing to leave with nothing, only asking that you drop the criminal charges against him. How did you respond? I asked calmly, though I had already guessed his answer. I told him that the decision rests with you, but once legal proceedings are initiated, they are no longer within our control. What did the district's office say? I took a deep breath and asked. They said the evidence is conclusive, and they plan to formally file charges next week. I was silent for a moment. I understand. In truth, I didn't want to send Liam to prison. After all, we had once been in love. But what he did had crossed a legal line, and there was nothing I could do. Back at the hotel that evening, I received a call from Margaret. Amelia, I heard you divorced Liam? Mom, how did you know? I was a bit surprised. News traveled fast. An old friend of your father's told me. My child, you've been wronged. Margaret's voice held a pang of sympathy, making my eyes well up. I told you long ago to find someone socially compatible, but you wouldn't listen. Now look, you've paid the price, haven't you? I didn't argue, because Margaret was right. If I had listened to her back then and married a socially compatible man, perhaps I wouldn't be in this pain today. But then, I would never have known the difference between true love and deceit. A week later, Liam was formally indicted. When the news broke, the entire business world was shocked. No one had expected that the seemingly brilliant new CEO had built his empire using his wife's money. Even more surprising, he would face imprisonment for misappropriating company funds. I stood in front of Sterling floor-to-ceiling window, looking at the bustling crowd below. I suddenly recalled that 5 years ago today, the weather was just like this. I had just returned from studying abroad then, and my fat her had me intern at the company. It was in the coffee shop downstairs that I met Liam. He was feeling dejected from a failed startup, sitting alone in a corner, lost in thought. I approached him proactively, and he told me his dreams. I was moved by his persistence. From that day on, I fell in love with this ambitious man. To help him, I didn't hesitate to conceal my identity, willingly being an ordinary wife. But in the end, all I received was betrayal and deception. Ms. Amelia, the court's judgment has been issued. The secretary knocked and entered, interrupting my reminiscence. Liam has been sentenced to 3 years in prison, suspended for 5 years, and fined $1 million. Isabella, implicated in aiding the misappropriation of company funds, has been sentenced to 1 year in prison, suspended for 2 years. I nodded. I understand. Although it was a suspended sentence, this judgment was already a devastating blow for Liam. With a criminal record, it would be difficult for him to establish himself in the business world again. Moreover, now everyone knew his true colors. Just then, my phone rang. It was Liam. I hesitated for a moment, then answered. Amelia, thank you. On the phone, his voice was weary but calm. Thank you for ensuring I only received a suspended sentence. I know with your influence, you could have easily sent me to prison. I also know that it's completely over between us. But I still want to tell you I'm sorry. I'm sorry I failed your love, and I'm sorry I hurt your heart. In another life, I hope I can meet you again, and love you again. Listening to his words, my eyes welled up. But I didn't speak, simply hanging up the phone. Some words are enough to hear. Some people, once missed, are gone forever. 3 months later, I reassumed control of Ascent. The company was rebranded as Dream, symbolizing a fresh start. Under my management, company performance soared, and employee benefits also significantly improved. Those employees who had watched with cold indifference at the celebration party now approached me respectfully. They finally knew that the quiet, unassuming woman who sat in the audience was the real boss. Ms. Amelia, I have good news to tell you. The director excitedly rushed into my office. We just secured a major contract with Global Solutions, worth $50 million. This is the largest single order since the company's inception. I smiled faintly. Excellent. Give bonuses to all employees involved in this project. Also, notify all department heads to attend a year-end review meeting next week. After these few months of effort, the company had completely emerged from the shadow of its past. Performance had tripled compared to Liam's management tenure, and employee turnover had plummeted. It proved that without the parasites, the company developed even better. After work, I returned to my newly purchased apartment. It was devoid of any memories from the past, marking an entirely new beginning. While I was making dinner, the doorbell rang. I thought it was property management or a delivery, but when I opened the door, I saw an unexpected person. It was Isabella. She looked much more haggard, her face lacking its former radiance. Amelia, may I come in and sit for a bit? I considered it for a moment, then let her in. I wanted to see what her true intentions were. What do you want? She sat on the sofa, nervously clasped her hands together, and bowed her head, not daring to look at me. I want to apologize to you. I was foolishly misguided back then, and I destroyed your family. I know it's too late for anything, but I still want to say I'm sorry. I poured her a glass of water, and then? I want to ask you for a chance to turn over a new leaf. I can work at the lowest level in your company. I don't need a salary, just enough to get by. I looked at her, a complex mix of emotions in my heart. This woman, who had once been so arrogant, was now begging me so who? MBLY. Isabella, do you think I'll agree? She looked up, her eyes full of tears. I know you hate me, and I don't expect your forgiveness. But please, considering my youth, give me a chance to amend my ways. I swear, I will never do anything to hurt anyone again. Looking at her face full of remorse, I suddenly recalled my own youthful self. Back then, I, too, had naively believed in love, trusting that genuine feelings would be reciprocated. If not for my family's protection, if I hadn't met someone like Liam, perhaps my own fate wouldn't have been much better. You can stand up now, I said. Isabella carefully sat upright, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. I can give you a chance, but not at my company. I have a friend who opened a training institution specifically to help young girls learn skills and reintegrate into society. If you're truly sincere about changing, you can go there and study for a year. After a year, if you've truly changed, I can help recommend you for a job. Isabella was so excited she almost cried. Thank you. Thank you for giving me this chance. I will cherish it dearly. I handed her a business card. This is the address of that institution. You can report there tomorrow. Remember, this is your last chance. Don't disappoint me again. After seeing Isabella off, I stood by the window, looking at the night view outside. I wasn't a saint, but I simply felt that a girl in her 20s shouldn't have her life ruined by one mistake. Moreover, the one who truly hurt me was Liam, not her. She was just a tool that was used. The next day, I went to work as usual. As soon as I entered my office, my secretary told me, Ms. Amelia, a client wants to see you. Who is it? He said he's an old friend of yours. I froze for a moment, then remembered someone. Ethan, my college classmate, and the person I had a secret crush on. Let him in. A few minutes later, a tall, handsome man walked into my office. Amelia, long time no see. Ethan had a gentle smile on his face, looking much the same as I remembered. Ethan, what brings you here? I heard you got divorced, so I specially came to see you. He sat opposite me, a look of concern in his eyes. Are you doing okay now? I'm fine. I picked up my teacup, avoiding his gaze. How about you? How's your development abroad? It's been all right, he smiled. I opened a tech company in Silicon and am now preparing to expand back to China. So I wanted to find you to collaborate. My heart stirred. What kind of collaboration? An AI project. Our technology is quite mature, but we need a partner in China. I think your company would be a good fit. This was indeed a good opportunity. AI was the future trend, and if we could seize this opportunity, the company's development would reach new heights. I need to see your technical documentation and business proposal. Of course. He pulled a thick stack of documents from his briefcase. These are all our materials. I took the documents and quickly skimmed through them. I had to admit, this project was indeed very promising. Give me a week to consider. I'll have our technical department evaluate it. No problem. He stood up. Then I won't disturb your work. By the way, are you free tonight? I'd like to treat you to dinner, as an apology for past misunderstandings. At 7 o'clock that evening, I arrived punctually at the restaurant Ethan had booked. It was an elegantly decorated French restaurant with a romantic ambience. Amelia, you're here. Ethan was already waiting for me in the private room, the table set with red wine and exquisite food. Sorry, traffic held me up, I'm a bit late. It's okay, I just arrived too. He pulled out my chair for me, a gentleman waiting for me to sit. You've been through a lot these years. He raised his glass, with an apologetic look in his eyes. If I hadn't gone abroad back then, perhaps you wouldn't have encountered those unpleasant experiences. I shook my head. Matters of the heart can't be forced. Your choice to go abroad back then was the right one. And, having gone through all this, I've also grown a lot. Yes, you've become much more independent and resilient now. He looked at me intently, but I still feel a great sense of regret. Regret what? I asked. Regret missing out on the best years of your life. Hearing this, a wave of warmth washed over me. In all these years, besides my father, no one had shown such tender care for me. Let the past stay in the past. I raised my glass. To our reunion. To our reunion. After several rounds of drinks, Ethan suddenly grew serious and said, Amelia, I didn't return to China just for my career. There's another very important reason. I wanted to find you. These past few years abroad, I've always followed your news. When I learned you got married, I felt quite dejected. When I learned you were wronged, I felt a pang of sympathy. Now that you're finally free, I want to ask you, would you be willing to give me a chance? I looked at his earnest expression, a complex mix of emotions in my heart. If it had been 3 years ago, I would have agreed without hesitation. But now, after Liam's betrayal, my perception of love had been shadowed. Ethan, I need time. I understand, he nodded. I can wait. No matter how long it takes, I'm willing to wait. Back home, I lay in bed, thinking for a long time. Ethan was indeed a good man. His character, ability, and family background were all impeccable. And he genuinely loved me. I could feel that. But I wasn't ready to start a new relationship yet. Liam's betrayal had hurt me too deeply. I needed more time to heal. However, the collaboration with Ethan could start first. Business cooperation and private feelings could be handled separately. The next day, I gathered the technical team to evaluate Ethan's project. The results were very satisfying. Everyone unanimously agreed it was a highly promising project worthy of investment. So I called Ethan. The project can proceed with collaboration, but as for our personal relationship, please allow me more time to consider. No problem, I said I can wait. His voice was cheerful. Then let's discuss the cooperation details first. 6 months later, the AI project officially launched. The product met with an enthusiastic response from the market upon its release, and orders poured in like snowflakes. The company's valuation increased tenfold as a result, and I officially became a standout among the younger generation of entrepreneurs. Major media outlets vied to cover my entrepreneurial story, dubbing me the tech. But what made me happiest wasn't these accolades, but finally proving my own capabilities. I was no longer a woman dependent on a man. I had my own career, my own achievements. That evening, I was working late at the office when Ethan knocked and entered. Still not home this late? He held 2 cups of coffee, sitting opposite me. I have a meeting with investors tomorrow. I want to refine the proposal a bit more. You work too hard. He looked at me with tender care. Your health is important. Over the past 6 months, our collaboration had been pleasant, and our personal relationship was slowly warming up. Although I hadn't officially agreed to be his girlfriend, the emotional barriers in my heart were slowly starting to crumble. Amelia, there's some news I want to tell you. He suddenly grew serious. Something has happened to Liam. I froze for a moment. What happened? He attempted suicide. Fortunately, he was discovered in time and is now in the hospital, fighting for his life. Hearing this news, I felt no sense of satisfaction, as I might have imagined, but rather a complex mix of emotions. Why would he attempt suicide? I heard it's because he owed loan sharks. During his probation, he tried to turn his life around but was swindled. Now his creditors are constantly hounding him for money, and he simply couldn't take it anymore. I was silent for a long time. Although had betrayed me, we had, after all, shared 5 years of a relationship. Seeing him fall to this state, I still felt a touch of pity. How is he now? He's still in the intensive care unit. I heard his condition isn't good. Ethan looked at me. Do you want to go see him? I hesitated for a moment, then shook my head. No, let the past stay in the past. We have no relationship anymore. Ethan let out a sigh of relief. I think you're right to feel that way. Some people are not worthy of your sympathy. Yes, some people truly aren't worthy of sympathy. Liam's current predicament was entirely his own making. If he had cherished our relationship back then, how would he have ended up like this today? A month later, I saw news of Liam's death in the newspaper. He ultimately didn't make it and passed away in the hospital. Seeing this news, I sat in stunned silence for a long time. 5 years of a relationship, just like that, completely over. Ethan stayed by my side, gently holding me. Don't be sad, everything is over now. I'm fine, I leaned against him. It's just a sense of melancholy. Life is truly unpredictable. Yes, which is why we must cherish those closest to us now. He looked down at me. Amelia, will you be my girlfriend? I looked up at the man who had been by my side for over half a year. He was kind, thoughtful, and responsible, a man I could trust with my life. Yes, I nodded. I will. Everything from the past, whether love or hate, had all drifted away with the wind. And my life was just beginning. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.